So when you guys are like looking to make a new product, I imagine, is there like smaller levels of production? So you make only a few, like a barrel, or how does it start from like, oh, we have an idea to eventually it gets like more mass produced?
Well, that's a good story. That's a good thing because single malt, right? Single malt's kind of the new craze, and it or was a new craze. So American single malt is basically the American version of Scotch. So it's a single malt, literally meaning it's made from barley. That's all you can use. But the rules on it, on what you can do as far as the barrel aging and all that stuff, are pretty loose. So you can do a lot with just one grain. And so we, as you know, my production manager, myself, and the general manager, we want to do a single malt. So they said, "Hey, Glenn, why don't you design a recipe?"
Cool.
So
Yeah, that's cool.
Then I did 3 batches. They're all in the test lab. 3 small batches, very small, like 1 gallon size. We decided I did 3 different iterations using different barleys, and I found one that I like and one that everybody else likes. And now next month in March, we're going to actually bring it to production full scale.
Oh, that's gotta be a cool.
So we're going to do a month-long run, which will probably be around 18 to 20, 30-gallon barrels. We're going to fill those barrels. We're going to put them in the corner for a couple of years and see what happens. Yeah. So that's how a new product came about.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. But I like how you get to be part of that.
Right. That is really cool. I get to be a part of that.
Yeah.
Kind of spearheaded the iterations. Then we picked the flavor that we want. We knew what we wanted it to taste like kind of going in. So I had like a base recipe in my head that I wanted to use. And then I just did 3 variations of that base recipe to see which one would turn out better. So there's some trial and error. There is some intelligent design behind that. Like you can tailor a drink to, just like you can tailor a cake or a pie based on your ingredients, right? So that's kind of what I did. And then, do I use less cherries in my cherry pie, or do I use less raspberries in my berry pie and use more blueberries, kind of thing, So that's kind of how I did it with a spirit. That's kind of how you do it with the spirit.
And do you do that like on, like at home too? Are you like a home brewer as well? Or
yeah, so when you design a beer, there's style guidelines behind, just like there's style guidelines behind vodka, behind bourbon, behind single malt. So you follow those style guidelines, but there's still lots of room in between the guidelines to work with. Yeah.
It's interesting, Chris, you asked him that question because it's a good question about, how do you come up with a new product and one of the things that we talked about at some length with Willie when we did the show, the Million Acre Bourbon show, was I was talking to him about, kind of comparing the craft distillery industry with the corporate distillery industry and how 2025 saw a historic, I don't know if it's historic low, but a low consumption level in the spirits industry or marketplace since as low as it's been since the 90s. And so that seemed that things have just kind of been cooling off in the industry, and that one of the things that's done to the corporate distillers is it's really hurt them financially because they have a very set business model, right? They build product for scale and consistency. So they make all this mass product, they lock themselves into all of this overhead, all of this expense, and then they rely on global distribution in order to recoup all of that
Correct,
cost,
yeah.
right?
Yep.
And when things kind of, they had a little bit of a perfect storm between, the possibly, there's some tariffs had some impact on it, and the fact that the younger generations are just drinking less, and there was a few other things that went into the lending rules and the bank terms. Those changed because financing got tightened up. So it was just kind of like this perfect storm, and the corporate distillers had themselves sort of like in a little bit of a hard spot. And the cool thing about being a craft distiller is you can actually duck and dodge and weave and kind of have that sort of that flexibility and that nimbleness to to circumvent some of those exposures and some of that liability that the corporate distillers have. And what comes with that is the ability to be a little bit more inventive and creative, and not be so stuck into a sort of a business model that forces you into scale, but you're more of a quality distribution over quantity distribution.